the Standard newspaper, there's a story on the police officer who shot a vendor in the street, right?
Yes.
So this is police officer denies charges of killing vendor Boniface Kariuki.
Indeed.
And it says that Boniface, Police Constable Klinzi Masinde Barasa has denied charges of murder in connection with the fatal shooting of 22-year-old street vendor Boniface Kariuki Mwangi in Nairobi during the June 17th protest.
Yeah.
And the plea of not guilty is accordingly entered. That is now, according to Justice Kanye, he announced that after the charge was read.
Yes.
And the particulars of the charge indicate that on June 17th, 2025, outside Imenti House in Nairobi's CBD, within Nairobi County, you murdered Boniface Kariuki Mwangi. That's what was in the charge sheet.
Yes.
Now, Boniface, the accused, that is Klinzi Masinde Barasa, has pleaded not guilty to this charge.
Indeed.
Help us understand the common wananchi, the common citizen.
Yes.
Where we saw things in the streets.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We saw an act of violence emitted at Salim Barisa. And then now Miriam goes to court and says, I did not do it.
Ongezea na ile nyingine. Hiyo ya kuomba msamaha.
Alikuja pia akakuja tena akaomba msamaha.
Wa Kenya na familia kwamba si kutaka kufanya.
Ndio.
Jamani.
When it comes to like how does he plead not guilty when we saw clearly what happened when it comes to the court?
Court ziko kwa inchi. You know, when you are in court, you are presented with such a charge. Murder is quite a 3-component kind of charge. It is not just killing.
Okay.
Murder, you have to have the intention, you have to do the act, and you have to have some malice aforethought. You must have had, that is legal jargon, you must have intended maliciously to end someone's life. So if he pleads not guilty to murder, maybe the alternative charge should have been manslaughter, causing death even without intending. Because maybe he can say, I discharged, but I did not intend for him to die. I wanted to scare him off. I did not mean to do this and this. So that he's very much on his on his own right to say, I did not commit murder. Because murder, you have to have the act, you have to have the intention, you have to have the malice aforethought that was there.
Okay.
So the intention
malice.
Sasa utapata hapa bwana Barisa pengine nilikuwa namtishia lakini ikaenda hapo ya kuwa amekufa. Sasa hapo nikitajiwa pale na makosa ya mauaji nitasema hapana, mimi sikumuua. Lakini nikishtakiwa na makosa ya kusababisha kifo kwa kutotaka, then naweza sema ndio sikukusudia afe, lakini kifo kilifanyika.
Okay.
Yeah, but you see our prosecutors pia watataka, I would call them, most of the time I call them very overzealous. Wanataka wapate ile mada sababu hiyo ndio inabeba uzito wa punishment. Yes.
So in a case where now he's already said that he's pleaded not guilty to murder, and he's saying the next course of action would be for him to be charged for manslaughter.
No, it's not the next course of action. It would have been an alternative charge. An alternative, so that if the murder does not stick, the manslaughter sticks. So
are you saying this murder might not stick?
Yeah, I'm saying the murder might not stick. I'm saying it very confidently.
Because he did not intend to kill the person.
To the best, if he gets a good lawyer, then the murder will not stick.
Na sasa naomba tujibu hapa tutoane hii dukuduku. Na ndio maana nasema hizi koti kweli ziko kwa hii nchi. Si aliomba msamaha huko nje. Alituomba wa Kenya na familia.
Kwa kufanya nini?
Kwa hilo tukio
lakini si kwa kuua. Halafu tukumbuke jambo moja. You tend to wonder why the court is entertaining that, yet even the magistrate or the judge saw it. The fact is that whatever happens out there, for you to have impartiality and for you to be independent, you have to forget and disabuse yourself of the notion that you saw it. Sasa hata vile vitu vyote umeona kwa vyombo vya habari, wewe ukifika pale kama jaji, mimi sijui. And then number 2 also, you have to understand, mkikumbuka katika historia ya inchi, mnamkumbuka yule tulimuita serial murderer anaitwa Onyancha. Yes. Akaita vyombo vya habari wakaconfess na vitu kama hivyo, lakini out of more than 15 charges of murder alipatikana tu na moja,
ambayo ilikuwa gani
ile ya mtoto mdogo. Yes, sasa baada yeye kusema ameua watu fulani, amefanya hivi na hivi, confession ama mambo ambayo yanasemekana kwenye vyombo vya habari haifiki kotini. You can never use that clip that he confessed.
So how is justice going to be served when it comes to the vendor?
For the vendor, it's one, there's a notion of justice that we must understand. The fact remains is that you cannot return life. He is dead. So is there really justice? The answer is no. Because justice would have meant that you get a life. Back in the days, and even in the Old Testament and the Holy Quran, it was you take a life is taken. But we have come over time to realize that that is not the best way of delivering justice. So the only way to get justice for the family of Mr. Kariuki would be to let the process go on, and then when found guilty, he serves time so that it can be a deterrence to others. So for Kariuki's case, he becomes the torchbearer for other officers not to behave like that. So in a way, you find that it is not a matter of service of justice, but it's a matter of being the pioneer to help others, being the sacrificial lamb to help others.
Become an example.
Yes.
Now, if the charge sheet indicates that on June 17, 2025, outside the Menti House in Nairobi's Central Business District, within Nairobi County, he murdered Boniface Kariuki Mwangi.
Yes.
So that is what he's being accused of, right?
Yes.
Does this mean now that the prosecution will change its? Can it change its? What's the word?
Can it change the charge sheet?
Yes.
Can it
to
change
something else?
Correct. The answer is yes.
Okay.
Anytime before the trial ends in a normal criminal trial, the prosecution have an opportunity and avenue to amend the charge sheet. We call it amendment.
Yeah.
And also, they don't even need to amend it, because in normal criminal procedure proceedings, if the judge finds, this only happens in murder, only. If the judge finds that the ingredients of murder have not been met, but the act has been committed, the judge has a prerogative, an option, a discretion to reduce it to manslaughter.
Hey.
So for Klinzi, he may not just walk out free. Okay. Even if that ingredient has not been met, they can just at the point of writing the judgment say that, yes, you did not have the intention, the malice aforethought, but the action occurred, a death occurred. So that means that the judge has a prerogative, has a discretion to reduce it to manslaughter. Yes.
Well, we're speaking to Lawrence Obonyo. He's an advocate of the High Court of Lawrence Obonyo Legal Advocates. We when we get back, we want to look at what's been happening in Shakahola, and there are fresh fears of cult activity in Kilifi County. Yes. What is that about? Who is not doing their job? 2023, something happened that shook us as a country. And that is an incident of deaths that took place in Shakahola. Lawrence,
yes,
you are a defense attorney for all the accused persons.
Indeed.
And I have a lot of questions to that. But you know what? Before I get all emotional as to why did you take... Why? Okay.
Please, ask away.
Let's break it down and... remind our listeners of what happened in Shakahola in 2023.
Yes.
Yeah.
In 2023, we saw the reports that came up when there's that area called Shakahola, which actually is within Chakama Ranch. And there were these reports of deaths that had been reported under mysterious circumstances. And therefore, the police went in there doing the investigations, and they started exhuming bodies.
Yeah.
So in the process, there were several people who were allegedly rescued and arrested, so taken to hospital and taken to different centers, and then the counseling started. Then the search widened, so it was a very vast piece of land, more than 5,000 acres. So that's what led to the arraignment and charging of my clients, who are now, they were 95, but 3 have unfortunately died while in the detention. So right now I have 92 clients. The most famous one of them is one Paul Ndenge Mackenzie.
Yeah.
So we're in the process of ensuring that justice is served both to the accused persons as well as the victims of the alleged offenses. But bottom line is that everything is premised or is surrounding the issue of religion, freedom of religion, and how they practice their religion, because these are people who have come from different places or from Kenya in different walks of life. So these are people who are exercising their religious right to worship, and their constitutional right to congregate at a certain place.
It must have been difficult. How has it been actually for you taking up this case and the reception? How has it been?
To be honest with you, ma'am, it's not been very easy, because there's always the human aspect of prejudging. One is deemed to be, when such a thing happens and they find that what you've consumed is that atrocities that have been done by these people, then they brand these people as evil and bad, and they pass a judgment on them. But they have their right, both human, both legal, both human and legal rights to representation. So they need to tell their side of the story. So it's been difficult, because there has been an aspect of stigma that is put on it. You're the one representing these evil people, those people are evil, why should they be this and that? I've seen a lot of very nasty comments online that are really, really emotive. But again, we're here to do justice.
All right.
Yes.
And so now we're hearing about fresh fears of, again, cult activity in Kilifi.
Yes.
First, let's you held a press briefing yesterday.
On Friday.
On Friday. You held a press briefing on Friday.
Yes.
What was that about, and related to now the fresh cult activities that we're now hearing that is in Kilifi?
All right. Forgive me if today I'll use a little bit of legalese, but the alleged cult activities.
Alleged. Yes,
so
please.
we'll really insist on that term, alleged. So
we shall.
When we had these reports and then we saw the briefings in the media, the main issue that made us to have this press briefing and what we addressed there was the issue that the deliberate attempt to connect my clients, especially my client number one, who is accused number one, that is Paul Ndenge Mackenzie, to connect him with what is happening at Kwabinzaro. Kwabinzaro is about 30 or 35 kilometers from where the original Shakahola incident happened.
Yes.
So, and you see that my client was arrested in the month of March, April of 2023. He's been in detention since then. So this is something that is erupting right now, and they're talking about something that started around March of this year. And trying to connect my client with the happenings of Kwabinzaro is what made us now take instructions from my client and also do a little bit of fact-finding from the prison authorities, and then distance ourselves from whatever is happening there, because I find it not very, very good and not very wise for both the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and the investigative agencies to let out such information, to say that their main, in fact, put out ultimatums that he is the one who is radicalizing people and is doing it from prison. So the question is, how is he doing it from prison? He's been in detention. This is something that has happened right now. Why is it that they want to zero in on him?
So you're saying there's no correlation between Paul Mackenzie and the incident in Kwabinzaro?
We want to categorically indicate and state that there is no connection at all. In fact, it would be very, very lazy for someone to use taxpayers' money not to investigate properly and arrive at such a conclusion. Because to lay such a basis, to lay such an allegation would mean that the prison authorities give him airtime and give him an opportunity to do all of that. Remember, my client, number one, is actually being held in isolation, and this is allowed by law, and is only allowed essential calls, that is to his lawyer and to his family. He's allowed visits from his family members. No random person is allowed such visits. So this is in accordance with the Prevention of Terrorism Act as well as the Prisons Act, because the charges allow for him to be held in isolation. And they allow for him to be actually put under scrutiny so that there is no such thing that happens in the future.
Okay, so I want to quote Citizen, an article here on Citizen that says that even more disturbing is the revelation that among those arrested is a husband and wife, former victims of the Shakahola cult, who had previously been rescued during the 2023 operations but disappeared again earlier this year.
Okay.
What do you have to say on that?
Yes, I know the persons because I've also seen what they've reported on the media, and I've also had a word with our client. Again, allegations. Allegations that are yet to be fully investigated so that they find out. Because when you say that he is a former victim, there's a gap that they're not giving you. How did he not go to hospital, and how is he not part of the accused persons? How is he not part of the witnesses if he was a victim? And how did he suffer for him to be termed as a victim? You see, those are the things that they are not answering. But they've said this person has come all the way from Siaya with his family, relocated to a place called Kwabinzaro. What they're not telling us is whose land that person has relocated to, how he got from Siaya to get there, how the authorities allowed for him to even lose the number of children he allegedly lost, and for him to do whatever he was doing. So I find it a bit lackluster or lazy to just do a connection, say that he was a former this and that. What tells them that he's a former follower, a former victim of Pastor Paul Mackenzie? There is nothing, because more and more the way we start trying to ask, when you go to a regular church, you're baptized, there's a baptism card, there's something that shows allegiance to that church. Otherwise, any Tom, Dick and Harry can say, I am a follower of Pastor this, I'm a follower of this church and that church. So they need to actually give us the nexus, the connection. That is what is lacking.
Wakili,
Naam.
Hii story ilivyotoka,
Naam,
mapema ikiwa mbichi kabisa.
Ndio.
I think sisi Swahili Pot ndo tulikuwa wa kwanza kuisema.
Naam.
Na tulipiga simu huko ground, huko kwa Binzaro.
Ndio.
Tukaongea na jamaa. Akasema hivi. Na kuna nukuu maneno yake.
Jamaa mwenyewe Jairus.
Huko ground, huko kwa Binzaro.
Yes.
Akasema wao walipata taarifa.
Ndio.
Wakafika wakapata watu wawili ambao wako dhofu. Yani hali yao ya kiafya haikuwa nzuri.
Ndio.
Alafu baada ya hapo waliona miili ya watu wawili ambao ni mabaki ya miili. Alafu kulikuwa na makaburi 7.
Ndio.
Ukiacha huyu ambao umemtaja wa Siaya na nini, ambaye alikuja na familia yake huko. Alafu akasema walipata pikipiki ambayo ilikuwa full tank. Sawa.
Ndio.
Na wawili, mmoja alikuwa mwanamke na mwingine mwanamume, walikimbia.
Ndio.
Wakadisappear in the thin air, according to him. Lakini baadaye tuliona watu ambao walifikishwa
kotini, mahakamani. Ndio.
Sasa wewe kama wakili wa huyu, tuseme mshukiwa, hawa washukiwa na mshukiwa namba 1 ambaye ni kama ambaye wana link hiyo na hii.
Ndio.
umefuatilia ukajua kwamba moja kwa moja hii matukio ya kwa Binzaro, because umesema 30 na kule ulikuwa tunaambia sijui ni 8 to 9 kilometers. Wow, venye walikuwa wanasema.
Ndio.
8 to 9 kilometers to Shakahola.
Shakahola, yes.
Wewe umefuatilia ukapata kujua kwamba hili tukio ambalo limehappen hapa kwa Binzaro
ndio
halina mafungamano ya aina yoyote na hii kesi ambayo kwamba tayari iko mahakamani na inaendelea kwa muda wote mrefu. Na hawa watu ambao pengine walitoroka na hawajui, sijui kama wameshikwa ama hajawashika.
Asante sana Barisa. Jambo lenyewe ni mimi mwenyewe sina uwezo wa kufanya huo uchunguzi na kuweza kubaini kikamili ya kuwa hakuna uhusiano kabisa. Kama wakili, mimi ni kipaza sauti cha mteja wangu. Na wale ambao wanahusika, wale kimombo wanaitwa stakeholders. Sasa kwa vile nimeweza kupata taarifa kutoka kwa mteja wangu na wateja wangu wengine, sababu yeye ni mmoja huyu Paul Ndenge Mackenzie anayezungumziwa, na kuna wengine wengi na wameweza kunikadiria huko kwa Binzaro na hiyo distance. Hiyo ni kulingana na wateja wangu. Alafu jambo la pili, si wawakilishi walioshikwa kwa sasa katika hiyo mambo ya kwa Binzaro, mambo yanachipuka kwa sasa. Nimeweza kubaini ya kuwa tayari maafisa wa polisi wameitisha muda wa kuwashikilia kwa muda wa siku 30 ili waweze kuendelea na uchunguzi wakifanya mambo yao ya ufukuzi. Kile kinatutatiza zaidi na zaidi ni kulinganishwa kwa mambo ya kwa Binzaro na yaliyotokea kule Shakahola ambayo yako kotini kwa sasa. Kwa sisi tunaona kujaribu kuunganisha hiyo ni kujaribu kuiongeza uzito kesi ambayo iko kotini. Kujaribu kumchafua zaidi huyu ambaye anayetajwa mara nyingi ili umma au koti iweze kuona ya kuwa ni mtu mbaya zaidi na iweze kupitisha hukumu ambayo itakuwa kali kwake. Kwetu sisi tungependa sana wachunguzi wafanye uchunguzi wao na wapate kubaini ukweli. Na ndio maana tunayesisitiza kabla huo ukweli upatikane, kabla waweke mashtaka dhidi ya hawa watu ambao wanazuiliwa, wasitishe na wasitishe kutoa taarifa ambazo zinamuunganisha huyu na mteja wetu. Sababu inamaanisha wanazungumza mapema sana. They are making assumptions. Wanafanya tu kutoa dhana yao. Na hiyo dhana kwa umma wanaweza fikiria haswa ni ukweli huo. Sasa tunaomba wafanye uchunguzi, wakishamaliza wapate ya kuwa kuna uhusiano. Koti zipo, watashtakiwa vizuri. Wale ambao wameshikwa kwa sasa kwa Binzaro watachukuliwa hatua vyema.
Swali jingine hapo kuhusiana na hiki, najua huwa ni kitu cha kawaida unless Miriam hajapitia, lakini mimi nimeshakipitia.
I was just chilling.
Hili swala la watu kupigiwa simu na watu ambao wako ndani kizuizini.
Ndio.
Whatever, ni gerezani, ni huko ndani huko.
Ndio.
Ni swala ambalo linafanyika.
Ndio.
Na najua mteja wako umefuatilia.
Ndio.
Na hivi vitu viko. Sasa hapa nikisema nitakuwa nataka kuhukumu mtu ambaye najua na huwa namuona na najua yuko ndani gereza fulani hapa Pwani, sita zero in kabisa.
Ndio.
Umefuatilia kiuhakika kabisa.
Ndio.
Ukayakinisha kwamba huyu mteja wangu hajakuwa na mawasiliano kwa namna yoyote na ulimwengu wa nje huko Shakahola ama huko
kwa Binzaro.
Huko kwa Binzaro, yes.
Ningependa kuambia kikamilifu ya kuwa tumehakikisha na ningependa pia umma na watu wasikilizaji wote waweze kujua ya kuwa mtu huyu ambaye anaitwa Paul Ndenge Mackenzie hajashikiliwa kwa njia ya kawaida. Ameshikiliwa kupitia kipengee cha sheria cha Prevention of Terrorism Act. Kipengee hiki kina ruhusu waliomzuia kumzuia kutangamana na watu wengine. Na kipengee hiki pia kinawapatia kama vile Prisons Act inawapatia ruhusa na haki ya kwanza ni lazima, wacha niseme hapa kiwazi, ni lazima wakati ambapo mtu anapiga simu ya kirasmi,
ndio
kuwe na afisa wa polisi yuko pale. Unanipata?
Kwa hivyo anaweza akapiga simu, lakini kuna afisa wa gereza ambaye atasikiza. Ndio maana unajua watu wote ambao wako gerezani au korokoroni kule, ili wazuiliwe wasiweze kufanya mambo ambayo si ya halali, wanafaa kuangaliwa. Sababu kwa sasa kwa lugha ya mtaa tunasema wao ni wageni wa serikali. Sasa wageni wako lazima uangalie vizuri. Mgeni asije kwako akachoma kwa jirani akiwa kwa nyumba yako alafu wewe ukalaumiwa. Hivyo basi wale maafisa wa gereza kwa wakati wote, na tunajua, wacha nikwambie, Alhamisi huwa ni siku ya kupiga simu. Kuna siku maalum. Wanapanga foleni kama hakuna dharura. Wanapanga foleni, kunacho kitengo cha welfare. Kinawapa simu. Wanapiga simu kupitia kwa welfare. Simu hiyo wakipiga simu lazima kuwe na afisa ambaye yuko pale anasikiza. Na huyu wa isolation
akitaka kupiga simu ataomba vivyo hivyo
siku ya Alhamis, lakini
siku hiyo Alhamis.
So what you're saying is we are making assumptions, and pretty much you always say not guilty until proven guilty.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And so investigations again still need to be done.
Indeed.
And so that we may not just link and say, okay, this incident that's happening in Kwabizero,
yes,
it's also instigated by Paul Mackenzie.
Yes, please don't condemn in unheard.
Yes.
Yes.
How different is it if you to look at the incident in Kwabizero, and also the one that happened in Shakahola? How similar or different are these two incidents?
I must admit that there's what I would term as a striking similarity.
Okay.
And it's not that in these two places. You saw what happened at that AIC church in Migori, whereby they say that someone's body was found and someone had died. So it's something that you want to liken it like a sequence. Look at it this way. Someone, for one reason or another, whether sick, injured or anything, dies.
Yeah.
That someone is buried in a shallow grave. And for one reason or another, you may find that that person did not access medical facility. And then there is a question as to whether how the person was buried was in accordance with procedure. Like, did they obtain a burial permit? Did they do this and that? So these are the questions that are raised. And then there's this other bigger question is that there are those people who are claimed that their relatives back at where they come from do not know. Because the places where these people are buried or face their death are places where possibly you find that is not their places of origin. So let's say myself, I've gone to visit someone in Korea, and then that someone I'm visiting where I am is a place of worship, and then I meet my death there, then I'm buried right there in a shallow grave. So these are the things that you would look at as a striking resemblance. But the striking difference now between that and Migori is that the people in Shakahola were not at a place of worship. They were in a village. They had formed a community. And these are things that will now come out later.
All right. All right.
Yes.
And now from a legal perspective, what should now the public look at, and even the authorities, when it comes to patterns that reimagine? What are we not doing? What are we missing?
There's I really like the fact that our current cabinet secretary is someone who likes speaking out, and he is an advocate. So we're missing an aspect of the right deployment of policing in the right places.
Okay.
Because you find that we have a very heavy force of police and presence that at times of political unrest, at times of protests, but on the ground where people may have suspicious activities, them being reported or not, and this one is not my own making. This one is actually, I have an article where I can quote the current Cabinet Secretary for Internal Security, Mr. Kipchumba Murkomen, who actually said that the security forces, there were lapses in the security forces. So these are the things that maybe we need to look out for. And then number 2 is how we look at worship, and how we look at religion. Up to right now, we do not have a formula. We don't have a way, and you cannot have a formula of how to worship, or how to access your religion. So there are so many churches. Someone was saying here there are more churches than medical facilities in this country. So in a way, if you have proper registration, so that anything that happens, because death is natural, death happens everywhere, and prayer is also natural to the modern being. You need to pray to access your higher being. So it's just a matter of holding them to accountability, so that whatever happens is not left to suspicion. So this is what we may be lacking, the security agencies to actually liaise with the churches and the religious bodies, so that we don't have these suspicious activities. By that, I don't mean that what happened is a criminal offense as per what I'm saying today. I'm just saying that this is what has led us to what we are trying to determine right now.
And are we seeing a laxity when it comes to holding the churches accountable? Because you are right that most people, when it comes to worship, we worship the best way we know how to. Right? And in instances, we've seen an interesting level of manipulation from those that we refer to as our church leaders. Are we seeing a level of laxity when it comes to the government, or even the authority, when it comes to churches and enforcing these laws in churches?
I actually need to confirm right here that we don't have a way to regulate religion. Except from the point of registration, that there was a time that they issued what we call a moratorium, like a stops order to register more churches. But how to regulate them after they have been registered, that is something that is lacking in this country. And why is it lacking? Because it's very difficult to regulate religion. The only way to have that is to have duly registered people who are delivering religious activities to the masses and giving returns in terms of filing their reports with the registrar of this one is actually the name escapes me, but there's a particular registrar who deals with this. So they need to do the annual returns by saying that this is the number of worshippers we have, this is the pattern that we are going through and all that. But you cannot start regulating saying that this now qualifies as a cult. That's why I don't like using that word. You cannot say this is a cult. You cannot go and have a knee-jerk reaction of saying that now we are outlawing that because we are saying that religious organization has now become an organized criminal organization. That is what the former CS and now deputy president did back then during Shakahola. He outlawed one of the churches that have been mentioned, and he gazetted it as an organized criminal entity. That's a knee-jerk reaction. Why don't you find a way of holding people to accountability from the onset, saying that, Miriam, you've registered your church. What is the name of your church? Shoe of Christ.
Yes, Shoe of Christ.
So once you have Shoe of Christ, every year tell us what's the number of membership that you have. Tell us give us a projection of what you want to do across the year. Do you want to do crusades? Do you want to do televised evangelism? Do you want to do religious music or ministry? Just do that. Do you want to establish a radio station or something like that? Then from the onset, we will know that if you want to know about Shoe of Christ, then we go to the registrar of churches somewhere here, and then we know that this is where we can tell the details, and then the data is tracked.
And And do you think,
Yes.
because I like that, do you think the regulatory bodies are even doing enough? Because when you say they have TV stations, they have radio stations, and you see these are mediums that reach a lot of masses, right?
Yes.
So even for the regulatory bodies,
Yes.
would you say they fall short when it comes to regulating such kind of content?
One, I want to be very clear. I would not want churches to be regulated. I would pray that by regulation, I don't want them to regulate the content. Maybe they can regulate the data from the onset.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying that if there's something that got spoiled, it's at the root. Because you cannot allow for there to be 1 million churches and then tell us that later on you want to enact a law to regulate them. How will you do that if you don't even have the data? Because churches have been used, and not only churches, religious organizations have been used by politicians to gain constituencies.
Yes.
If you want to get a political seat, you go to church or you go to the mosque, you do this, you do that. And there was a time that the Honorable, also an advocate, Martha Karua, senior counsel, was, I think, the Minister for Constitutional Affairs and Justice.
Justice Affairs.
Yes. She had that suggestion that we need to tax the churches.
Yeah.
To tax the churches. How would taxing work? Taxing would work in a way that a database would be formed. A PIN would be registered. Returns would be filed. Then we would have the data of how money is moving, because she was looking at it from a point of lack of accountability for the monies that goes there. But this is a whole different topic. It's very different. And right now, for the love of God, I would never want church to be regulated. So to access your power and to exercise it properly, the people have to put in petitions. Up to date, we have not seen a proper petition that would hold to accountability the security agencies for failure to protect.
So I have to file a petition to hold the security agencies
For failure,
accountable.
yes.
Oh.
Failure to protect. Because right now, you report to IPOA, what you would report is you report an atrocity. You don't report failure to act. When you report failure to act, they tell you, they would give you, follow this procedure, and then if indeed there was failure to act, they act. But they don't punish the failure to act. Okay. What if that failure to act has led to something that is irreversible, like death? What do you do?
Yeah.
So that's the point where we as the citizens were given an opportunity to petition the courts. And when you petition the courts, there are remedies that come out of that. One of the remedies would be finding that indeed this agency failed to do this.
Yeah.
Another remedy would be mandating, when you get an order of what we call an order of mandamus, mandating these bodies to actually set up certain policies that will protect against future acts or actions of inaction or omission.
Okay.
And then punish them in the event they have failed to do something. Yes. Sorry.
All right. His next question is there any precedent in Kenya, in Kenyan law, for prosecuting state officers for gross negligence that leads to mass loss of life? And why hasn't such precedent been pursued here?
Unfortunately, from where I sit, there has not been such a precedence to hold them accountable for failure to act. We are seeing a lot of litigation right now happening, but this is really extraneous, maybe stemming from the protest and achievement of this third, fourth generational rights that are happening. But we have not had a proper precedent that has cemented the rules and regulation on how to hold someone accountable, someone in authority, for failure to act. Why do we not have this? We have failed to petition the courts to take the law from the texts now into reality. So,
okay.
Yes.
All right. And can survivors or victim families file a class action? That's now Ma's third question. Can survivors or victim families file a class action suit against the state or church for criminal negligence or failure to protect life? And why haven't we seen any such legal action taken yet?
Yes, they can. And if such has not happened, then it shows how much we are not prioritizing what's happening.
So it shows that, again, the survivor has not filed a class action suit.
Not at all, not at all. Even in the cases we are handling right now.
Yeah.
There was a time Haki Africa had made an application to be enjoined as watching brief for the complainants, for the victims. But this fizzled out. I'm sorry to Haki Africa, but this fizzled out. They never come to court anymore. They don't follow up. So who is going to do the follow-up for them?
Yeah.
So indeed, there has been an aspect where we are more preoccupied with other things.
Yeah.
But if indeed Ma has such a good idea and which is the best way to go, then we can look at exploring such, because it takes just one citizen who is concerned, because this is a matter of public interest, to approach so many other organizations, including Haki Africa, who've done a marvelous job in protecting rights, so that they can file a petition which in form of a class action for and on behalf of the victims or the people. You gather them, you have their signatures done, you have the connection done properly, and then you file a proper action to hold the government agencies, the security agencies, the government itself to accountability for failure to protect. It has happened in other countries.
Yes.
We don't have a precedence here for that.
Okay.
Yes.
And now this is not directly to you. As the
Yes.
defense attorney for the accused person,
Yes.
at what point does legal representation become moral compromise? Now, do you believe that defending Mackenzie advances justice or simply exploits its loopholes?
I'll start with the second question, the second limb of the question, because do I believe that it... one, you have to look at justice from two ways. If you see Lady Justice, you see that they're holding a scale. The scale has two plates. There's a plate that one, if you put weight there, it will go down, the other one will go up. Remember, Mackenzie and the accused persons, they are presumed innocent until proven otherwise.
Yes.
So we need to give them their day in court. We do not condemn someone unheard. We need to understand from their perspective who did what. Because remember, we are talking about offenses. Before we get to the offense of murder, which has the conditions that we spoke about when we were starting, these other offenses are more connected to someone doing something voluntarily. Someone being there voluntarily. Someone exercising their right. But indeed, we want to hold someone else accountable for that. So we need to understand that justice entails following a procedure and giving each party an opportunity to be heard.
Okay.
Will I have advanced justice? The answer is yes. Because if they are not given that, think of how that can spiral to another person who is suspected, not proven, and then later on, after they've been hanged, they say, oh my God, it wasn't him. And then they say, if only we listened to him, if only we gave him an opportunity to say his part and present his evidence, then we would not have done that. Then when you look at, when I want to address the other question, is that morality and what is legal, and looking at that, we have spoken about this several times. Personally, when I look at this case, I don't look at it from a moral point of view. I look at it from a legal point of view. Because what may be moral to Ma and to Miriam and to Sally may not be moral to me. So that's why I would wish to completely dissociate the question or the analysis from morality, because morality is very, very subjective. Yes.
Okay. And finally, from Ma, if Mackenzie is acquitted on technical grounds, will that be a victory of law or a failure of justice?
On technicality, it would be a failure of justice. Because we're looking at proceeding with the matter so that we find a judgment based on merit. Merit takes away the aspect of technicality. Technicality would come in such a way that evidence was not processed properly. Now it's been thrown out. Things that could have been used in one way or the other have been thrown out, or this was not met and all that. But merit means that we analyze everything and in details. And you see, like this case that we are doing, it's a case of public interest. And the courts have held in several occasions when we've raised issues of technicality, the courts have overridden the aspect of technicality so that we can find the substratum of it to be attaining justice by going to the merit. If given an opportunity, there's a ruling that has been posted on Kenya law in this very case to satisfy Ma's curiosity that it's something that is already existing online, so I can speak about it.
Yeah.
There was a ruling delivered in Tononoka that dealt away with technicality, and it was touching on qualifications of people to testify. So given an opportunity, I can share that so that you can educate the public on that.
Definitely. Salim, one last question and then we...
No, timing.
Uko sawa?
Atakuja hapa.
Okay.
Hii lazima.
Asante sana.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lawrence, for making time.
I highly appreciate it.
Always. And you know what? You can
Yes.
find him at Lawrence Obonyo Legal Advocates. He's located at Imara Building on the 5th floor.
Yes.
And he handles a lot of matters. You want to share?
Karibuni sana.
Children,
family matters, criminal law, and also corporate law and conveyancing.
all right.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for making time.
Thank you. Do have a good day.
We'll be right back.
Dry.